The single fastest way to tank your income as a new mortgage broker is to try to make up what you're saying on the fly. On the fee conversation, on the protection introduction, on the objection that catches you off guard, on the follow-up email that you rewrite 4 times and still send at 11:30 at night worrying you sounded desperate. Every one of those moments has a right answer, a script, a specific set of words that works. And every broker who's ever been good at this job is running the same handful of scripts every single time. The winging it version isn't natural talent, it's a career being quietly slowed down by one avoidable habit. And here's the honest bit that no one tells you at the beginning when you start this career. You don't need to be a naturally gifted salesperson to be a great mortgage broker. You need to know what to say when that pressure moment really hits. That's it. Give a new broker the right words for the 6 or 7 conversations that actually decide the case, and their conversion rate doubles inside a month. Not because they've suddenly become a better human, but because they've stopped inventing the sentence in the moment. Here's what you need to understand about why this matters, because the cost of getting it wrong is not obvious, but it's compounding. Every time you fumble the fee conversation, you either lose the client or you talk yourself into charging less than you ever should. Every time you introduce protection awkwardly, you half the conversion. Every case walks out the door worth half of what it should have been. And every time an objection lands on you and you freeze, you convert one less client that week than the broker down the road who has had their script ready. And every time you send a follow-up email that reads like you've been begging for the case, you burn a lead that would have come back if you'd left a calmer, structured message. None of these are dramatic failures, by the way. None of them show up on your firm's dashboard, but add them up over a year and it's the difference between the broker who's earning 80 grand and a broker who's earning 30. Same lender panel, same firm, same case volume in, but completely different output. The gap between those two brokers isn't talent, it's not effort, it's not luck. It's the fact that one of them is running scripts and the other one is running vibes. And in this video, I'm going to give you the vault. Every conversation, word for word, that a beginner broker needs for their first 6 months, ready to steal, ready to run, ready to make yours. Now, before we get into the specific scripts, one thing has to be dealt with because beginners hear the word script and they immediately picture this slick American kind of car salesman, Slick Rick, in a bad suit, and they don't want to be that. Now, that's fair. Neither do I. But here's the reframe that actually matters. A script isn't a performance. It isn't a manipulation. It's a set of words that you've thought through once, calmly in advance, so that when you're under pressure on a call, you're not inventing the sentence at the worst possible moment. Every doctor that you've ever met has scripts for awkward conversations. Every airline pilot has scripts for emergency briefings. Every lawyer has scripts for the opening statement. It's not because they don't care, it's because they've decided the conversation matters way too much to just freestyle it and wing it. Brokers are exactly the same. The script protects the client from getting a bad conversation and protects you from making an avoidable mistake that it's very simple to do. Once you've run a script 50 times, it stops sounding like a script, it just sounds like you. That's the goal. Not sounding rehearsed, but sounding sure. But the rehearsal is what gets you to shore. Now, the fee conversation is where new brokers lose most money in their first year. And it almost always is because they apologize for the fee before the client has even flinched. You'll be halfway through explaining what you charge and you'll hear yourself saying things like, oh, I know it might seem a lot, but, or we can look at this if it's an issue. And before the client has even said a single word about that price, you've told them it's negotiable. You've told them that you're not sure it's worth what you're charging. And from there, you will never recover. The right script is calm, it's direct, and it's unapologetic. Say it exactly like this. My fee for the work is X. I charge that because of the depth of the advice, the whole of market research, the protection review, and the ongoing support through completion. It'll be payable at whatever stage it is. Any questions on that? Then, and this is the whole game, you shut up. You don't fill in the silence. You let them respond. Most clients will simply just say yes. The ones who push back will do so specifically, and now you've got something to actually respond to. If they say it's more than they expected, you calmly explain what's included and what you'll do for them. You don't drop the fee, you justify it once, and then you let them decide. If they walk, they weren't the right fit. If they stay, they respect you more now, and every subsequent conversation becomes easier. The broker who apologizes for their fee is the broker who quietly earns 40% less over the course of their career. Same work, completely different words. The protection introduction is the most single valuable sentence you'll ever learn as a broker, because it's the moment that decides whether protection becomes part of the case or this awkward kind of uncomfortable afterthought at the end. Beginners always try to bring it up late, softly, tentatively, because they don't want to sound salesy. And by hedging, they signal to the client that protection is optional. Once it sounds optional, it is dead completely. So here's the right script. Said early, said in the discovery call before anything else has been agreed. The other thing we're going to be looking at alongside the mortgage is protection. A mortgage without the right protection in place is a liability that can collapse the first time something goes wrong. Illness, injury, loss of income, death. So the way I work is we look at both together as one piece of advice, not as two separate conversations. That way we make sure the whole plan actually holds up. Say that once at the discovery stage, calmly, without apology again, and from that moment onwards, protection isn't a sale that has to be made later. It's an expectation that was set right at the very beginning. You don't have to reintroduce it awkwardly at the submission. It was always going to be there. The client never has to feel ambushed, and your protection income doubles because you set the frame properly on day one. Now, the line that actually closes protection at the submission call after the mortgage recommendation before the application goes in is the income stress test. And this is one to learn word for word and never deviate from. Everything we're about to recommend is built on the idea that your income stays at least the same, your deposit holds, and your debts stay manageable, and your health holds up across the whole mortgage term. Now, before I submit a mortgage application on your behalf, where I am telling the lender as a regulated mortgage advisor that I genuinely believe that you can sustain this mortgage for 25 years, I need to stress test the income that underpins it. That's not a sales pitch. That's just me doing my job under consumer duty. Nobody argues with that line. Nobody, because it's framed as a logical, regulatory, and necessary, not optional, not emotional, not a sale. The income is what services the mortgage. If the income goes, the mortgage goes. So if the income has to be protected before the mortgage gets submitted, use it on every single client. Use it word for word until it is in your bones. This one line delivered properly is what separates the broker from earning 60 grand a year from the brokers who earn 140. Every broker gets this line thrown at them in their first year. I just need to think about it. Brokers panic when they hear it. They either drop the client on the spot, or they push too hard and they lose them, or they meekly agree and they never hear from them ever again. All three are wrong. The right response is calm, it is specific, it's things like this. Absolutely, this is a big decision and I'd want to think about it too. So just so I can help you to think about the right things, what specifically do you want to talk through? Is it the fee? Is it the recommendation? Is it the timing? Or is it something else? That single question does two things all at once. It respects the client's needs for time, absolutely. And it forces them to actually name what the concern is. Because 90% of the time, I need to think about it isn't real. It's a polite version of, I don't want to say no directly. If the client can name a specific concern, you can address it there. If they can't, you both know the objection isn't real and they'll usually just keep talking. Either way, you've turned a dead end into a live conversation without pushing them into a corner. Now, the client whose first question is, what rate can you get me, is the hardest lead beginners lose because they're trying to compete on rate and they'll always lose that. The script for this one is the reframe. Rate is one part of what makes a mortgage the right one for you. But honestly, it's not the biggest part. The biggest part is whether the lender will actually accept your case cleanly. And that depends on things I won't know until I've seen your documents. What I can promise you, though, is I'll find you the right mortgage for your situation, not the cheapest rate on the comparison site that might actually get declined at underwriting. That's it. Say that once, calmly, and let it land. Either the client relaxes and moves forward, in which case you've won them properly, or they push back hard and refuse to move off the rate, in which case they weren't a client to begin with. Either outcome is a win. The broker who chases price shoppers into a rate war is the broker who works twice as hard for half the income. Now, at some point in the process, you have to close. Now, beginners get really squirrely about this and they either forget the close entirely, hoping the client will somehow just kind of close themselves maybe, or they push too hard and it sounds really forced. Both are avoidable, by the way. The close is a specific, calm ask. So, based on everything we've talked about, the mortgage, the recommendation, the protection plan, the timelines, are you happy for me to move forward and submit the application? Ask the question, then shut up. Do not add sentences. Do not soften it. Do not hedge. Let the silence sit. Client will either say yes, or they'll surface the last thing that they were unsure about, and now you've got something you can actually work with. The close isn't a moment of pressure. It's a moment of clarity where both of you agree on what happens next. Get comfortable with the silence after the ask, and you'll close a meaningful percentage more cases than the brokers who talk over their own close. Follow-up emails. This is where beginners tank their pipeline late at night when they can't stop thinking about the case. They rewrite the same message 4 times, sound increasingly desperate, and then send something that reads like a plea. They then wonder why the client goes quieter. The script for a follow-up email, again, is a calm, specific, and short message. Day 1 follow-up. Hi. Just a quick note to say, lovely speaking earlier. As promised, I've sent the client portal link across so you can start the fact find whenever suits you. Let me know if anything needs clarifying. Thanks. Then put your name in there. 3-day nudge. Hi, whatever the client's name is. Just checking in on how you're getting on with the portal. Happy to jump on a quick call if it'd be easier to go through together. No pressure either way. Day 7. Hi. Insert name. Just wanted to check in one more time. Totally understand if life's got in the way or the timing has shifted. If it's not the right moment, just let me know and I'll leave you to it. I'm here whenever you're ready. Now, these 3 messages are a week apart. They're calm, they're professional, they're structured, and they're never desperate. They're never invisible. And most silent clients aren't rejecting you. They're overwhelmed. Give them the small nudge and a meaningful percentage of them actually will come back. Now, the reason all these scripts work isn't because the words are some sort of magic powers. It's because they take the pressure off you in the exact moment beginners tend to crack. The fee conversation, the protection introduction, the objection, the close, the follow-up, all of them are moments where the wrong words tank that case and the right words can save it. Once you've learned them properly and you run them a few dozen times, you'll stop noticing that you're running scripts at all. You'll just be having professional conversations with clients in exactly the way an experienced broker would. The gap between the beginner who converts 1 in 10 and the broker who converts 6 or 7 in 10 isn't experience. It is not charisma. It isn't luck. It's the fact that one of them has a set of scripts that they trust and the other doesn't. Learn the vault. Run the scripts every time, refine them as you go, and within your first 6 months, your conversion rate will be higher than half the brokers who've been doing this for a decade. Now, if you've just been realizing how much a good broker is about running specific scripts through specific conversations, the natural next question is what the actual conversation those scripts sit inside looks like from start to finish. Because the scripts without a wider structure just feels like isolated lines. And that's the next video. The Mortgage Discovery Call explained what to actually say, the full 1-hour structure of a beginner's first proper client call. How to run it, how to frame it yourself, how to end with the client committing to sending you everything, and the specific mistakes that kill those conversations in your first 6 months. Watch that now next, and make sure to hit subscribe when you're there.